All right, welcome everybody. So good to see all these faces. Welcome to the Princeton Prize in Race Relations ceremony. My name is Brooke Peppard, and along with Caroline Frank, I am a Cleveland Committee co-chair. While we traditionally have an in-person ceremony in May with a keynote speaker, the Cleveland Committee decided it was important to still celebrate the student honorees. Oh, Sandy can't hear. Let's see, can you hear me? I better make sure. Okay, good, I'm getting more thumbs up. Sandy, are you okay? It's like we're passing notes. Sandhya? Suli, you're good. Sandhya, can you hear me? Sandhya, I think everybody else can hear. So sorry, I can't hear me, Sandhya. Okay, Sandhya's gonna figure it out on her end. So we wanna welcome you to the local Cleveland Princeton Prize in Race Relations. We decided it was still important, especially at this time, to celebrate the student honorees. Elizabeth Metz of Beechwood, Aaliyah Williams of Shaker Heights, and Mayuka Dita of Powell, Ohio via Zoom. While this is a different format, we'll still have the opportunity to celebrate students, interact about race in our own lives, and leave with concrete steps for moving forward. I'll just go over a quick agenda for us on our next slide. So we're in the welcomes. I welcome everybody. We'll do some thank yous. Everybody will have a quick chance to introduce themselves so we all know who we are. Then we will hear from our three honorees. Then they will lead us in an activity. We will learn about next steps following this meeting that we can all do for racial equity. We will end with the traditional alma mater of Old Nassau, and then we'll keep the Zoom open for however long to allow people to interact and chat with one another. I'm just gonna check the chat first. Okay, we are good to move forward. So we'll go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So as background for those of you who are new to the ceremony, and I actually see some people who have been involved with the ceremony for the last 11 years, so it's great to see you here. The Princeton Prize in Race Relations honors high school students from around the country who have made a positive difference in race relations in their schools and communities. What started 17 years ago in just 2 cities, with a new senator named Barack Obama as a keynote speaker in Washington, D.C., is now a robust grassroots organization of over 400 alumni volunteers in 29 regions. Each year, each region awards 1 prize and multiple certificates of accomplishment to high school students in that area who have challenged their schools or communities to advance racial equity. Each regional winner earns a $1,000 cash prize, plus, in non-pandemic times, a trip to Princeton for a weekend symposium on race that combines networking amongst the winners, training and community organizing, learning recent scholarship from an esteemed professor, and sharing their work with the broader community. This year, we created a 2-hour Zoom symposium with the emphasis on winners, creating a network of fellow activists and supporters. Our winner, Elizabeth Metz, will speak on the impact of this session and the importance of the connections she made. We'll now get a quick video from last year's symposium so we can have a sense of what happens there.
Advocacy isn't an easy thing to do, and especially advocacy dealing with race.
I would say for someone just starting out in racial equity work that you're the expert in your own experience and to use your experience to shape the work that you do.
The only thing that's really wrong is to not pursue a problem because you're afraid of failure.
Racial equity work wasn't my first thought when I first entered high school, but then I was called the N-word 2 weeks into my freshman year. Once people at my school found out I was doing activist work, they kind of looked into me and they found out that I'm a Muslim, that I go to mosque, and that we're immigrants from Bosnia. So That's when the comments and the harassment started.
So when I was actually a kid, I lost my cousin to a police shooting, and it took me a long time to actually realize what that meant to my life.
When it comes to activism, everyone can be an activist.
When I saw my own friends, my own people hurting inside, I knew that just like lit a fire in me.
You shouldn't let people get you down, and you shouldn't let people who are retaliating against your work bring your progress down.
And it's really important that you always remember to take care of yourself first, so you can always bring your best self to the table when it comes to dealing with this kind of work.
Make sure that you are really preaching from a good place, and also that you're respecting the differences between like yourself and who you're representing.
And although it may initially seem as though, you know, we're in the minority, we can begin to change the majority by actually exposing our stories and trying to find similarities with other people who may initially seem very different than us and have different experiences.
I started writing these words on May 29th, at the end of a tragic week that saw white fragility weaponized, so scientists could not birdwatch while Black. On the same day, George Floyd became another Black man, telling the police kneeling on his neck that he could not breathe. It was a horrific week, but really no different from any other week in our country, when people with more melanin in their skin fear to partake in the freedoms that so many others enjoy without thinking about. As a social studies teacher, I have often quoted what I thought was 18th century philosopher Edmund Burke's line, "All it takes for evil in the world to prevail is for good men to do nothing." A little more research showed me that he did not say these words, but I'm in good company, as J.F. Quo misquoted him too in a 1961 speech. Since it's unclear who originated this line, I feel free in making it gender neutral. All it takes for evil in the world to prevail is for good people to do nothing. Many of you in the audience have been doing racial equity work for as long as you can remember, and many are just starting out. I think of one image on social media of a white man holding a sign that reads, "Sorry I'm late, I had a lot to learn." If you feel like you are one of those good people who is not sure where to start in standing up and speaking out, the 3 students we are honoring tonight will inspire us and give us concrete steps. As another step, on August 5th, these 3 students, plus Carson Baldwin, a rising senior at University School, and the 2019 winner, will lead the Princeton Prize in Race Relations in Northeastern Ohio Princeton community in a panel and discussion. We'll give you more information at the end of the night. It's not only a celebration of our honorees, but also a call to action. With Gen Z's realistic optimism, social media savvy, and ability to mobilize supporters with a click, I will gladly follow these young leaders. We have 3 students who have seen and experienced injustice and have stood up, spoken out, and created solutions for moving their communities forward. They've addressed the issues and used their insights and their voices, whether through forums, protests, videos, or art, to challenge, to share perspectives, and to heal. We honor their work tonight. Before we do, we have a few people to thank. Our first is, of course, Ms. Sandhya Gupta, Cleveland chair from 2009 through 2019. She was the brainchild of bringing the Princeton Prize to Cleveland, and she worked tirelessly for a decade to make everything happen each year. And many years, for most years, she did it on her own, relying on a skeleton crew of a committee. So we are so thankful to you, Sandhya, for leading this committee and this organization with love and with light, and for bringing this work to Cleveland so that we can in our 11th year continue to honor these amazing students. Sandhya has moved from Cleveland. She is in DC training to be in the Foreign Service, and she will be, as of now in November, moving to India. I know she will continue to be a guiding light for us. The next person we'd like to thank is Caroline Frank, who has been a committee member for all of 5 years that she has been in Cleveland. And in the last year, she stepped up to be a co-chair when Sandhya left, and she did that in the last year of her medical school, which is a feat in and of itself. And she is joining us tonight from Pittsburgh, where she has started her residency. So thank you, Caroline, for being my partner in this endeavor this year. Jennifer Hart, the Princeton Alumni Association of Northern Ohio president. She has given us so much support in what we do and in allowing us to use the administrative resources. And that leads us to thanking Joan McCarthy and Julia Zettel. Julia, you can see she's got the little staff button. She is producing this Zoom program. There she is. Thank you, Julia. From 3 different computers, and doing the PowerPoint and the videos and the music and the spotlights and making sure that everything runs smoothly so that Caroline and I can focus on running the ceremony. So thank you. I don't know, I can't see everybody. I hope Merle Johnson is on. She has been a longtime supporter. She is a member of the State of Ohio Board of Education, and she always has our students, our winners, on her radio show, It's About Justice. And another longtime partner is Karen Long from the Anisfield Wolf Book Award. She's always offered us spots and shared resources with us. So we are grateful to all of these supporters that we have had. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna unmute everybody. So if you know that you've got something going on in the background, you can keep yourself muted and unmute you when I call on you, but we're just gonna ask everybody to quickly, for the sake of time, introduce who you are and how you got here, well, what brought you here tonight. And the order that we're going to go in, we'll start with Caroline, then we're going to go through our honorees, Cleveland Committee volunteers. I know we have, I think, at least four of our past winners on, and supporters. So I will make sure that I can see everybody, but I will ask Caroline to start, please.
Okay, yes. So I am Caroline Frank. I have been the co-chair for the Cleveland Committee this past year and member for the last 5 years.
All right, thank you. Elizabeth, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Metz. I'm a rising senior at Beechwood High School in Beechwood, Ohio, and I am here because of the social justice work I've done in my community.
Aaliyah, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Aaliyah Williams. I'm going to be a freshman at Ohio State, and I'm also here, like Elizabeth, for the work that I've done in my community regarding racial justice.
All right, Mayuka Dita.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mayuka. I am now a rising freshman at Ohio Wesleyan University, and I'm here because, like Aaliyah and Elizabeth, I also did social work in my community to help race relations.
All right, thank you. Sandhya.
Sandhya Gupta, former chair of the Cleveland Committee, and so proud of you guys and happy to be here.
Thank you. Heather Gordon-Schloss. We can't hear you, Heather. We got to unmute. Perfect.
Did I do it?
You got it.
Hi, everyone. I'm here because I was on the board of Pano when Sandhya first proposed bringing Pano to Cleveland, and I realized that anyone with her enthusiasm for whatever it should be should receive my support, and now I have grown to find this work incredibly meaningful, having had no exposure to it before this. So I'm so grateful.
Kamala.
Hi, I'm Kamala Lewis, class of '86, and I've been a committee member for 10 years now. I attended the first award ceremony and was so blown away by the recipients that year, including one who's Gabe Gordon, who's on the call tonight, that I felt I had to be part of this.
All right, thank you. Jennifer Brush.
Hi, good evening. Congratulations to the winners. It was really great reading all of your projects, and I'm so proud of all of you. It's hard not to get choked up seeing what you're doing for the future of this country. So thank you for letting me on the committee. I would say that I'm a Woody Woo grad, but I'm not allowed to say that anymore, I guess. So I'm just a graduate of the School of Public Policy, or whatever it's being called now. But welcome.
Okay. Is Susan Bellman still on the call? There you are, Susan. Okay.
I'm Susan Bellman. I am on the committee. I'm a alum from the class of 1973, and I am so proud of the work that you all have done, and I'm just really amazed that these young people have made such a difference in their worlds.
Thank you. All right, Scott Dowling. Scott, you'll have to unmute, please.
Oh, pardon me.
Thanks.
Oh. Unmuted now? I believe I am.
Good.
Hi, I'm an old-time Princetonian. I'm about to celebrate my 70th reunion at Princeton. I am so pleased and proud of being a member of this committee. Makes me more pleased to be a Princetonian than I've ever been in the past 70 years. So wonderful. Thank you, Brooke, and thank all of you for the work you're doing.
Patrick Gallagher.
I'm Patrick Gallagher, class of '01. I was honored last year to nominate Carson, the winner at the time, and thrilled to be joining the committee this year. Excited to be on board.
And please hit chat if I'm missing any other committee members. With that, one thing I think is really interesting is that we have doubled in size as a committee since last year. And I think that's just testament to the work it's testament to Princeton and the change in our culture and history that we are seeing now. I am going to introduce some of our past winners. Brandon McGee.
Hey everyone, so excited to be here. Brandon McGee, Princeton Prize winner from 2013, Princeton University alum from the class of 2018. Really excited to be here. I did some volunteering work with the prize back at Princeton as well, and I'm on the national board. And also did some work in the Detroit committee when I lived in Ann Arbor, Michigan. So really, really excited to be here and to see all this incredible work and hear about all the incredible work that is continuing to be done here in Northeast Ohio. So thank you all so much for all the work that you do and for being incredible.
Dear Sargent.
Hi, I'm Tiara Sargent. I am the winner from 2014, and I'm also here supporting one of my students, Aaliyah Williams. I'm actually currently the score advisor, so this is full circle because when I won, I was in score. So yeah, I'm really proud of Aaliyah and all of her great work.
All right, we'll transition to another Shaker honoree, Isabel.
Can you see me? Oh, perfect. Hi, I can't believe I made it. I haven't been able to make it for the past many years because I've always been at school when it happens. But I'm so happy to be here. I won the certificate a few years back, and really I wanted to hop on and see where everything is going. And Tiara, I had no idea you were running SCORE. That's amazing. Tiara has been a part of SCORE for a long time, and I was also a part of SCORE. So I'm really excited to hear what everyone's doing.
All right, speaking of SCORE, let's go to Gabe Gordon, our first winner.
Hey everybody, I'm Gabe. I received the prize in 2011 when I was a senior at Shaker. Also was really involved with SCORE, the student group on race relations, and yeah, I just really want to give a shout out to Tiara for the amazing leadership I've gotten to witness from both Shaker in proximity but at a distance, and it makes me, I don't know, it makes me feel really proud to have shared space over time with you and all the other people who have grown so much under your leadership, and yeah, being part of your amazing community. But I think that goes the same for everyone who's been doing amazing things that's here tonight. But just wanted to express my gratitude to you.
Thank you. Anthony Price.
Hello, everyone. Yes, I won the award in 2015, so right after Tiara. So big footsteps to fill, but I did work surrounding the death of Tamir Rice, holding a conversation on a race at the City Club of Cleveland, which resulted in me creating a nonprofit that I've led for 6 years now. But stepping down from that work, and I'm fortunate to allow others to take the lead. Just recently moved to DC to start a position. So, but congratulations to the winners this year, especially during COVID. It's very hard to do race relations work, given that we have to distance. So I'm extremely proud of everyone for doing and staying committed to the fight.
Okay, thank you. I think we've got all of our winners. Jim Vanderheit, one of our committee members, just joined. So Jim, I'm going to put you on the spot, a quick introduction and how you got here.
I got here late because I was stuck, and I'm very sorry I was late. Hi, everyone. I'm Jim Vanderheit, class of 96. Very excited to honor the winners tonight. Thanks.
Now I'll just call, other people that we have that are here in supporting us. Jennifer Hart from Pano.
Thank you. So this is actually, I am the current president of Pano, and I just want to say that I couldn't be prouder for our organization to be affiliated with a group as frankly amazing as everyone who's on the screen. So thank you so much to Sandhya for everything you've done since starting this, and all of the former presidents of Pano who've supported this, and I'm proud to continue that legacy of supporting this organization because the work that you all are doing is just absolutely phenomenal. I seem to always be out of town during this presentation every year. So this is actually my first PPRR ceremony. I'm still out of town, but since we're virtual, I can be here. So I'm really, really excited to hear from all of you and continue to learn because that's just, you know, as someone who's coming from a place of privilege, all I can do is learn and try to be an advocate and assist in any way I can.
Okay, and I forgot Carson Baldwin, our winner from last year.
Hi, I'm Carson Baldwin. As Brooke said, I won in 2019, and I'm super excited to be here. And I just want to say a huge congratulations to tonight's honorees. Thank you so much for the work that you do.
All right, so again, please forgive me if I miss somebody. Shoot me, Patrick shot me a chat, so please let me know. I'm just trying to go through all of the screens, and it's one of the challenges of Zoom. All right, Carl. Carl, I think you unmuted, but I can't hear you.
Hi, Carl Grippus.
Perfect.
Okay, so congratulations to the winners. Thanks to the committee. I'm alum, and I'll be succeeding this year, and I look forward to working with the committee next year.
Thank you. I see Conrad and June.
Mom, you need to unmute it. Sorry.
Yeah, good evening. We're very proud to be Elizabeth's parents. We're very proud to be a part of this group online today. We are very happy that the Princeton alums have created this award, and it's very heartwarming to hear everyone's words.
All right, sorry, I have to show I'll introduce my husband next, but this is what he just brought me. All right. Just a reminder, we're going to keep this very, very quick so we can make it through everybody. And BJ.
Hi, everyone. We are Colleen and BJ Griffith, and we are the happy neighbors of Brooke and Sean Peppard. And we are excited to learn more about what you all are doing here for social justice in our community. So thanks for having us.
Thank you. Liza Jones.
Linda Jones, maybe? Linda Jones?
Linda, yes, sorry, Linda.
That's okay, I've been called worse. I have the honor of being the guest of Elizabeth Metz, my niece. I am just so impressed with not only Elizabeth, but all the awardees tonight. The social passion and commitment that the young folks are demonstrating now reminds me of the late 60s, early 70s. And I am further impressed with Princeton and how you are able to support these efforts that our youth are actually making a reality. So I'm very happy to be here. I'm very proud of Elizabeth.
Thank you. W.F. Hornegay.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here at the behest of Elizabeth Metz as well. She's my niece, and I could not be proud of her. And I will do everything to continue to support her in all of her efforts. So thank you, Princeton, for everything you're doing to provide this forum for these wonderful young adults.
Thank you. Nicole Lawrence.
Hi, good evening. First, congratulations to the current honorees and last year's winners. I work at University School and did not have the pleasure of joining Carson for the celebration last year. So glad to be here, and thank you to PPRR Cleveland for the invite and for all the work that you're doing for these young people and for social justice. So thank you.
Thank you. Carl.
Hi, I'm Carl Frericks. I'm here with Nicole and Patrick Gallagher from University School, and I am just delighted to be here, and I'm really looking forward to hearing more. I've been so impressed with Carson and what he's done for us at US, and I want to hear what's going on elsewhere in Cleveland, so this is an exciting night for me. Thank you.
All right, Bradley Epstein.
Hello, my name is Bradley Epstein. I'm a longtime best friend of Elizabeth Metz. She's an amazing friend to me, so I'm just here to support her.
Thank you. Sarah and Connor.
Hi, we're just here to support the group and to support Brooke, and so excited to hear about the award winners.
Right. Peppard. All right, we'll skip my husband. He'll get on later. Yolanda. Oh no, he just got back off. Yolanda, please.
Hi, I am a former colleague of Brooke's, and she is one of my dearest friends, and we both share a passion for race relations and social justice, and we learn a lot from each other, and this is just an opportunity to continue to learn together. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Tori.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for having this important forum. I've attended in the past, loved it, learned a lot, and applaud all of the honorees.
Thank you. Ryan. All right. We'll go to Sean.
I'm here with our two kids, and I'm just proud of what my wife is doing, and been blown away with the students over the years, and this year especially. So just glad to play my little role by taking care of the kids right now.
All right, my sister Nikki.
Hi, this is, can you hear me? Uh-oh. Brooke, can you hear us?
I got you.
I got you. Okay, this is Brad and Nikki on behalf of the Pulvers here, where Brooke is our sister-in-law and our sister, and we are so proud of her and her efforts to bring these stories to light, and we are friends with Aaliyah, so congratulations to Aaliyah and the other candidates, and we're excited to learn more.
Thank you. All right, and I messed up. It's not Ryan, it is Ray Murphy. So Ray, if you can hear me, please introduce yourself.
Yeah,
Thank you. I'm just a supporter, and I've been able to attend several times in person. Glad to be able to attend virtually this year. Good luck.
Thank you. Kelly Baldwin.
Hey, I am the proud mom of 3 past prize winners, and I am crashing the party tonight because I'm just always so inspired to hear about the important work that these brilliant young people are doing. So thanks for letting me be here.
All right. Paula, make sure that you get your say.
I am the proud mother of Gabe Gordon and have been and the proud supporter of the Princeton Prize since its beginning in Cleveland. I think I've missed one ceremony in all these years, and I just love hearing about what young people are doing, and it gives me so much, it just gives me a lot of joy and hope when I come to these events every year. I look forward to it every year. Thank you.
Diana Ferguson. All right, we'll try Anton.
That is my dad. He's at work. He's listening right now to the ceremony. He's like busy, so he just wanted to participate, but like he's busy. So.
Oh, thank you. And Jackie Williams.
And that is my mom. She is driving to pick up my sister. She also wanted to listen to the ceremony as it went on.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you both for being here. Thank you, everybody. And that's my agenda. Now we're going to hear from our winners. I'm going to turn it over to Caroline to introduce our first speaker.
Can you go to the next slide? Do you mind? Okay, thanks. So I have the privilege of introducing Mayuka Daita. She just graduated from Olentangy Liberty High School in Powell, Ohio, and she will be taking her talents to Ohio Wesleyan this fall. So through her Global Scholars Diplomacy Program, she created an initiative to educate the teachers, staff, and students on the intersection between a student's culture and their academic experience. So her work actually took her to over a dozen schools in the state where she was able to spread her message and educate the schools on how to support inclusive and culturally competent educational environments for the students, as well as parents of various cultures. Her work was fueled by her own experiences as an Indian American student in a majority white school district. Her presentation has been shared across the school district, but also across the state of Ohio. So please join me in welcoming Mayuka.
Thank you so much. Can everyone hear me? Okay, good. I just had a little bit of issue with my mic, so I just wanted to make sure. So to start off, to be very frank, as an Indian American student in an American school district, I found that there is a lack of connection between a student, a parent, and a student especially who identifies as an immigrant or a child of an immigrant, and a teacher. There were a lot of times in my own schooling where I wasn't able to connect with teachers as some of my peers would. Talking about culture and heritage with them was such a foreign concept to me, and I never had the liberty of having a teacher understand that I was more than just an Indian girl who wouldn't accept an A- and thought too much about her grades. There was never a real mutual understanding as to why I was the way I was. So it's how me and the majority of my friends of color have struggled in the school system that didn't understand our yearning for perfection, our educational stress, and the immense parental involvement. There was an obvious divide they experienced when it came to cultural connection and appreciation. It was through my own schooling and watching others' interactions that I realized this divide was much more than just on an education level. It can harm a student's interpersonal development, and it has continually hindered the personal formation of their own and even my cultural identity in society. That's why we have the term ABCD, or American-born confused they, and why many Asian and South Asian students struggle with their identity. Thus, I found myself wanting to fix this gap, and I wanted to smoothen the relationship between some of the most crucial people in a student's life. Cue the Global Scholars Diplomacy Program. It's a program that is 3 years and develops globally competent high school students by building the awareness and skills needed to take global action on an issue and to become responsible citizens of the world. In the last year of the Global Scholars Diplomacy Program with the Columbus Council on World Affairs, I was prompted to solve a global issue on a community level, and I saw this as a launch pad. And with the help of my advisors, Ms. Kendra Pulido and Ms. Rachel Dobney, I decided that my race and cultural relations issue was a challenge that I wanted to take on. I decided to educate and help close the gap in educational standards, home and school life, differences in understandings, and cultural nuances between immigrants, children of immigrants, and teachers. I wanted to help teachers understand why this influx of diverse students was something to take note of, understand, and learn from. So for several months, I did research on the different cultures and educational standards, both on a moral standpoint and on a governmental standpoint, and gauged the differing levels of education in cultures and countries. However, what really brought the whole entire program together were the anecdotes I got. They had the power to strengthen the bridge that I was really trying to create. I wanted to create the connection between teachers and students, and talking to friends, peers, classmates, parents, and other teachers, and essentially anyone who is a part of an education system, and learning about their own stories and anecdotes and how they viewed their own education in the eyes of their parents and in the eyes of their culture really helped. It was the first-hand accounts of racism, prejudice, uncomfortable interactions between students and teachers that were all used to give those educators an eye into the world of a student in a culturally diverse school and the many issues that can surface. Then the most important part, the presentations and forums. I curated a very interactive presentation and put together the most prevalent cultures and countries, mindsets, and statistics in the school district I was presenting in. Very fittingly, I called the program the Education Gap. And when I finally told teachers, counselors, diversity liaisons from the Olentangy Local School District, as well as advisors from the Columbus Council on World Affairs, they were way more curious and open-minded than I anticipated. I allowed myself to present a plethora of information from numerous sources I told them about, and I told them about home life, school life, cultures, and quick facts, and any information I could gather from my own culture and others who couldn't speak up for their misguided schooling experience. When I presented this information to teachers, I made sure to leave ample room for questions and to make sure to foster discussion and conversation at the end that was non-judgmental and open. I used that area to allow them to vent issues and solve nuances that they wouldn't previously would have been confused and wouldn't have been able to solve. I allowed them to ask more about my Indian culture. And for example, I always start off my discussion by saying, if they want to ask me how I drink water, I will tell them what glass I pick, what water I get, and where I drink water and how much I drink. So it's very, very open discussion about anything they want to ask. And I also allow them to ask about any of the cultures that I talked about and I presented about. And I try to answer them as openly and with as much information as possible. It allowed teachers to accurately view and understand the communication boundaries between these races and cultures, and to understand how to communicate, connect, and interact with those parents and students. It helped them create better respect for their students' personal lives and understand behind the cultural educational expectations held by immigrant parents or those brought up in immigrant households. Recently, with the rise of the Black Lives Matter movement and an increasing number of Instagram pages such as Dear OLSD, where people of color are coming forward with their stories of racism, prejudice, and discrimination in their school life, there is an overwhelming need now more than ever to accept cultures and have racial acceptance in school systems. The hugely positive response that I got from my program has helped me expand the program to not only my own district, but Dublin schools, elementary and middle schools across the state, and even teaching schools, where I was able to talk to future teachers about what to look in when in your classroom, what to talk about with future classmates and future teachers, and what to look for, essentially. This is just the beginning of a new era in communication, ethnic connectivity, and inclusion, and the fight for racial rights has just become stronger now more than ever. As a newly graduated senior from high school and someone now headed full force into the medical field, I realized that I had to change my own perspective and my own perception to fit that of teachers so that I could quickly connect with their level of understanding so that my presentations would be more effective and comprehensible. I learned that in all of my schooling, I was trying to understand this teacher's perspective, and I learned to put myself in other people's shoes. Over time, I gained that power to understand others' perspectives and communicate with others with different cultures, races, and ethnicities. A change of perspective is sometimes needed in order to communicate more pressing or personal matters, and I've come to know it is a very important lesson to learn for all walks of life. With my program, I hope to give teachers and administrators a push and stepping stone into the right direction and to help them bridge the gap of cultural, racial, and ethnic connection that I and many other people of color deal with on a daily basis in the schooling system. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mayuka. So next, I have the privilege of welcoming Aaliyah Williams. So Aaliyah just graduated from Shaker Heights High School, and she will be attending The Ohio State University this fall. She was a member of her school's student group on race relations, or as you may have heard by now, we've used it a few times so far this program. It's called SCORE. So she was a member of SCORE for all 4 years of high school, and the last 3 years she was also a leader. So as a leader for SCORE, she led a group of her peers to facilitate group discussions on race at her local elementary school. But in addition to that work, actually her main activism work has been through her time in the IB diploma program, where she has addressed race relations and racial equity through her artwork. And you'll actually get to see some of that artwork tonight. Her showcase piece, titled African Diaspora Over English Breakfast, addressed forced assimilation of Black people into white culture. For this art piece, she was named one of 5 American Visions nominees in the regional Scholastic Art Show. Aaliyah was awarded a Certificate of Accomplishment, and so please join me in welcoming Aaliyah.
Thank you so much. Everyone, my name is Aaliyah Williams, and I will be a freshman at The Ohio State University. I, like many marginalized teenagers involved in activism, had no real intention of becoming as vocal in my community as I have become. When I was a rising junior, I attended the Telluride Association sophomore seminar, where I lived communally with 27 other students from all over the country for 6 weeks over the summer of 2018. We participated in a rigorous seminar program with professors from the University of Michigan, where we analyzed literature, film, and other forms of media. In Michigan, I was surrounded by Black and minority people that helped me, in more ways than one, understand the importance of sticking up for myself and my culture, and for fighting for what I believe in. I was set on the path of striving for racial, LGBTQ, and economic justice for all marginalized people, and I haven't looked back since. This type of work has manifested itself in the form of my engagements with SCORE, also known as Student Group on Race Relations, and a club, and Bridges, a program that focuses on uplifting minority students in Shaker Heights so they can succeed in higher level classes. In my artwork, I hope to convey the feelings and experiences that come with being a marginalized woman in the developed world, trying to find a voice for myself and people like me. I focused on the different aspects of cultures of American life, which to me incorporates influences from other cultures around the world and blends them to create something entirely new. In a variety of my pieces, particularly in Lovely and African Diaspora Over English Breakfast, my audience should understand that I see real value in treating the cultures and practices of other people with respect and care. Often, taking a special interest in a people's culture is for personal entertainment or enjoyment, even for profit. However, I think it's disrespectful to treat the practices and cultural expressions like costumes or field trips, something you do or wear for a day and quit when you're bored. Every culture deserves care, respect, and acknowledgement, and I hope that that's conveyed in my art. I employed a wide range of mediums to explore a variety of themes and issues. I think that painting is an incredibly intimate form of expression, so my most impactful pieces tend to be in oil or ink paint. Most of my pieces incorporate a selection of different symbols and motifs that come together to enhance the meaning of my work. Specifically, I have a fascination with koi fish, which not only represent prosperity, but also perseverance in Japanese culture. I also included imagery of snakes and chains to reference American race-based slavery, Southern American cultural attitudes and ideals, and American imperialism. Other techniques used to create visual impact include bright, vivid colors and swirling backgrounds to create texture and movement. My goal was to emphasize that while some experiences can make the world seem bleak and uncaring, like the experience of being a marginalized woman, these experiences are valid and you can still live a full and vibrant life, even with societal pressures to conform or assimilate. When my audience views my work, I want them to feel drawn to understand the experiences of the people around them. I want my audience to feel that they should take an interest in their peers and those in their community and in the world around them in general. If there's one message I can share with those who view my work, it's that marginalized people are not going anywhere. Intersectionality of multiple identities, such as being Black and a woman, creates a beautiful, layered experience that can only be conveyed through artistic expression. As Kimberly Crenshaw wrote in her groundbreaking article about the phenomenon of intersectionality, when feminism does not explicitly oppose racism, and when anti-racism does not incorporate opposition to patriarchy, race and gender politics often end up being antagonistic to each other, and both interests lose. So in essence, she's basically saying that being a Black woman and being in the forefront of so many movements and still being ignored by Black men and ignored by white women in the fights and the racism and anti-racism fights pretty much means that everybody loses. And so I want my artwork to highlight this intersectional experience of being both Black and a woman and having simultaneous movements that I have never been at the forefront of. When my audience views my statement piece, African Diaspora over English Breakfast, they appreciate the beauty and inherent tragedy of a mixed lineage consisting of white slave-owning rapists and enslaved African women. I hope they understand that while I may be working every day to free myself from the constraints of white supremacy, the pressure to assimilate into white American culture has not been truly lifted from me. I want my audience to feel the influences of Black culture in my head wrap and hoop earrings and sneakers and dripping candy paint. I want them to feel how murky my feelings are about the state of my existence and how every day I am determined to exist and succeed, but afraid that I'm coming of age in a white supremacist state. I do not feel obligated or like I have a responsibility to create art about the intersectionality of my experiences. I create art about my life and Black women and the Black woman experience because I want to and not because I feel like I should. Black women so rarely get the attention and reverence for their impact on every civil rights movement since this country's foundation. And I think that for the first time that they deserve to be at the forefront of every movement, even when they're fighting for everyone, while they're still being the most disrespected and the most targeted and the least protected social group. In my community, I think the impact of my work has been clear. I have shown to many people the beauty of Black womanhood and the struggles that accompany it. I have had so many conversations about my work, and that is more than I could have ever asked for. Just telling people about my work has been liberating for me, and finding other Black women that have had similar experiences to me has never made me feel closer to other people like myself. In the future, my goal is to read and further educate myself and radicalize myself so that I can start as many conversations about justice for all as I can. I'll be attending Ohio State for Public Policy and International Affairs, and I hope my degrees will help me become a legislator or policymaker that can actually make a difference for people like myself. Thank you guys so much for your time.
All right. All right, Julia, can you please, we'll introduce Elizabeth. Thank you. And then Julia, can I get the screen on me, please?
Yep, hang on. All right, you are spotlit.
Perfect, thank you. Aaliyah, when I read your speech for the first time, as I mentioned, I cried, and the power in you speaking it in tandem with your art is incredibly moving. So thank you so much for bravely sharing with us.
Thank you. I didn't think that I would get a little choked up, but I don't know if you guys heard me. I was like, oh, I cannot be crying right now.
You can't be, and that is fine. Right, so now to our winner, Elizabeth Metz. Elizabeth, a rising senior at Beechwood High School, is one of the most remarkable leaders I have met. As a student who was both Black and Jewish, she found herself in the Oppression Olympics at her school. Beechwood is a community with a majority Jewish students and also a sizable Black population. Discussions about slavery, civil rights, and the Holocaust often lead to arguments over whose group has it worse. Imagine being stuck in the middle of that conversation. Rather than let this situation suppress her, Elizabeth has used this unique intersection to bring both groups to the table to listen and discuss. As a sophomore, Elizabeth was inspired to create dialogue after the October 2018 shooting at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. She realized that if she brought together Black and Jewish students to talk about hate-motivated violence, the two groups could see the similarities and the disparities in searching for justice. Her work had only just begun. After the first successful forum with a sixth of the school in attendance, students wanted more opportunities to talk. Working with the Board of Education, 4 administrators, a counselor, and 4 faculty members, Elizabeth continued the forums and created annual town halls on race. She expanded her work across state borders with her Breaking Barriers project, with bi-weekly web discussions on identity and intersectionality. She has worked with members of the LGBTQ+ community at Beechwood to further understanding of marginalized groups at her school. Her English teacher, Mr. Davis, wrote, "Elizabeth did more to address the racial and ethnic tensions in our school than a staff of adults were able to do." When I spoke with Elizabeth on Monday, June 8th about this ceremony, she said, "I'm organizing a rally for social justice on Thursday. After that, I can plan with you and be a kid again." You'll continue to hear the theme of Elizabeth and her fellow student activists sacrificing their childhood innocence and high school fun for the fight to end racism. As a freshman, Elizabeth helped to pressure the then senior student body president to step down after she made racist social media posts. As Elizabeth enters her senior year, she will be the new Beechwood student body president, and we cannot wait to watch her lead. Last year, Elizabeth earned a certificate of accomplishment for the region, and this year we are so pleased to award her with the Cleveland Princeton Prize in Race Relations.
Thank you for the amazing introduction, Mrs. Pepper. Good evening, everyone. Is everyone able to hear me? Okay. Thank you all for attending tonight's virtual ceremony as we are making innovative adjustments to pursue social justice in a time of social distance. Before we begin, I would like to thank the Cleveland Committee and Mrs. Brooke Peppard for working endlessly to communicate with the student recipients this year while encouraging and supporting us in every step of our work. In addition, I would like to thank my parents for helping me more than ever these past 3 months, as they have helped me understand the benefits and the consequences of being an activist in 2020, and the lessons I must never forget as a Black woman. Lastly, I would like to extend my gratitude to my English teacher, Mr. Josh Davis, whose social consciousness and racial consciousness are traits that students all across America hope and need to see more of in their faculty. With all being said, congratulations to all honorees, because being here tonight means that we have left footprints to follow and a foundation for our community to better itself inside and out. Tonight, while we know in our hearts that we are on the forefront of standing up for what is morally right, there is a dark side to being a teenager who loses what should be the best days of their life protesting for equity and justice. While many of our communities pride themselves on the work the young people are doing to repair humanity, what they don't know is that difficult is not the word at all to describe the adversity faced in bringing us all together. There are times when we cry, when we break down, and endlessly, and we just have to keep getting back up again and trying again. A few weeks ago, I ventured into holding what would be a large peaceful protest in my hometown. Not knowing I would have an acute medical emergency the night prior, I found myself being rolled into surgery 18 hours before one of the biggest moments of my life. Unhealthily staring at Facebook, attempting to spread awareness of my event, I came across a post of people in my own Beechwood community calling me an anti-Semitic terrorist, and I immediately bursted into tears. Plenty of other community members had liked the insensitive comment as well, and it gave me no hope for the rally the next day. Discharged and ready to go that evening, Thursday, June 11th would be the big day, and I was frantic. The same people who called me a terrorist were telling their Facebook groups to arm themselves and bring guns to the rally, put on by a group of 17-year-old Jews and Black students. Thankfully, Over 1,500 people were in attendance, and the entire demonstration was peaceful. My point of all this is to illustrate that the love you encounter will always outweigh the hate. With the right people supporting you and your cause, those who are opposed to your purpose will eventually become drowned out by those who are educated and willing to educate themselves for the better. So amidst all the summer days in the freedom fighting, I'd like to offer my own recipe for a successful and balanced summer of teenage social justice. And that is a 1-to-1 ratio between your work and the time you make to check on yourself, whether that be meditation and mindfulness or reading scholarly articles. The beauty of the Princeton Prize this year is that it has allowed me to gain the privilege of connecting with students who also face adversities in their community and understanding how mentally degrading social justice work can be. This year's symposium took place virtually, and through Zoom, we were able to break into groups of 4 or 5, and I have led lasting friendships with many of the prize winners nationwide since. While the pandemic of COVID-19 rose in March and April and is still rising today, students like myself were realizing that there's another systemic illness from which our country suffers, that of systemic racism and its present-day implications. For this reason, as opposed to using the word equality, many of my generation are shifting to pronounce the word equity. One of my breakout groups from the symposium consisted of 3 girls from New York City, Dallas, Texas, and Seattle, Washington. We are still connected, and weekly we connect and reflect on our experiences as activists. Noting that taking care of each other and ourselves during a divisive time as a teenager is everything. While my activism at 17 has begun to feel natural, I was not always comfortable speaking out about race relations because it was not something that my education at Beechwood had prepared me to do. Most of the lessons that I learned were from my mom, teaching me lessons about how to be respectful because as a Black girl, they might expect the least out of me academically and mannerly, and to be strong and to grow some thick skin. Growing up as a Black Jew in Beechwood, Ohio, where many classify the constituency as either Black or Jewish, I found myself centered in what many Northeast Ohioans call the Oppression Olympics, a phenomena very familiar to Beechwood. Once I got to high school, there was practically zero racial consciousness towards the Black students, given that the Jews were all white passing, and the Jewish students defended their own exercising of racism towards Black students by claiming that their ancestors and relatives were and are victims of a mass genocide. While this logic is inherently flawed, my freshman year of high school put me in a unique place, having lost much of my childhood innocence like many other Black kids due to the realization we have come to about the implications of our skin color. For so long and even to this day, I do not feel treated the same by my Jewish community as they treat our own white passing counterparts. Even yesterday afternoon on July 13th, a lady came to the pool at which I work. Entering a light conversation, she asked what activities I'm involved in as a student. One of the activities I listed was my participation in a Jewish youth group called NCSY. When I told her that, she laughed uncontrollably, me not knowing why she was laughing, and she said, "Well, what are you doing in a Jewish youth group?" And I paused for a moment, embarrassed at her tone towards me, and proceeded to tell her that I was a member of the Jewish community. I am constantly finding myself in situations where I have to show proof of my existence or belonging to one community or another, because there are many people who do not believe in the existence of intersectionalities. Enduring interactions like this make my network from the Princeton Prize so much more valuable to me as a community of supporters, witnesses, and victims to injustices are present for me that I know they will never question my identity or ask me to prove myself for who I am, or let alone laugh at my belonging to a community. I have learned through connecting with this year's prize recipients more than I could have ever expected to be educated on, for example, about the oppression of Native Americans in our country, and about the struggle of being a Latina in Texas, or what it's like to be a Black girl in a private, predominantly white school in New York City, or a biracial Asian African American female in our Pacific Coast. Moreover, I am to encourage everyone to do their part in pursuing social justice in a time of social distance by making simple adjustments such as purchasing your groceries and necessities from a socially conscious business. Thank you to everyone who is here tonight for your time and support of students and activists all throughout our country and our world. Is extremely valuable to us, and we are so grateful that during an extremely divisive time in our country like today. I deeply look forward to connecting and meeting with you all in person soon. Thank you.
Julia, I am hoping you can unmute everybody so that we can give all of our honorees a big round of applause. All right.
Yay. Who do you? Thank you, Elizabeth.
Wonderful. Okay, next, let's see, am I still unmuted? Yes, okay, good. So next, we are going to be breaking out into small groups for a discussion-based activity. But I am gonna send it over to Aaliyah, who's gonna tell us more about exactly what we will be doing.
Alrighty. Hi, everybody again. So in this activity, we, Mayuka, Elizabeth, and I, we wanted to have an activity sort of centered around like how inequity begins at the beginning of people's lives and how it can manifest itself, you know, like as you get older. So we wanted to stress the importance of equity and how unequal opportunity affects people long term. So with the recent surge in support for the Black Lives Matter and anti-Semitism movements, we wanted to draw attention to the ways that, to the patterns that in which inequity presents itself, and also how it presents itself based on like your early childhood and your background and your upbringing and just like even who your parents are. So the first 4 questions I think, so all the questions I think are going to be posted in the breakout room so we can talk about them. But the first, like, so these ones, for example, I'd encourage everyone to think really critically about like what it means to have gone to preschool and what it means to have the opportunity to go to college and get a higher degree, and what it means to have parents that have higher degrees or have parents that have bachelor's or master's and things like that. And then also how your early childhood affected you and how your early childhood affected your relationship with your culture. That's for question 4. And then the other ones I think are just discussion questions for you guys to talk about within the breakout. Alrighty, I think that's all.
All right, so Julia's gonna put us into breakout groups of 4. So we'll kind of hop in and then we'll give you a little warning when it's time to come back to the main session.
We will. You'll see a pop-up on your screen that's moving you to the correct room, and it'll scoot you right over.
How was discussion, everyone? I hope it was kind of eye-opening, something to talk about, something to think about in these times. Does anyone want to start off discussion by talking about something they experienced while they were in it, or something, an opinion they have, anything they want to talk about? Just to start it off.
I can start.
Sure.
And this is something I kind of discussed briefly, but so I am in training to be a psychiatrist. I have a major in psychology. I'm kind of interested in childhood psychiatry and psychology, and the question about daycare really stuck with me because, you know, I don't think it's always appreciated how different, you know, early childhood experiences can be. And then also how much of an impact it can have if you grow up in a privileged household. Even those first 3 years or 4 years, you know, you're starting kindergarten off at a place of privilege. And I don't think that's always fully recognized. You know, a lot of times we think about higher education, but even it starts at such a young age. So yeah, I think that was, I enjoyed the question about, you know,
Sure.
all the way back to preschool.
Yeah, for sure. Does anyone want to piggyback off of that, or?
I can. I had the privilege of talking with Bradley, Mr. Gallagher, and Ms. Brush, and one of the things that we noticed, kind of along with what Ms. Frank was saying, but basically how like entwined into every part of our lives, inequality and these biases are. Like, there's no escaping it. I mean, with the three other people who I spoke with, like we all represent different groups of some sort. We're all different identifiers, whatever, and no matter who we are and what we look like, or who we whatever makes us who we are, we've all experienced some type of inequality, some type of discrimination. And it's just like there's no escaping it. It's really like eye-opening to talk about.
Makes sense, yeah.
I'll just comment. Sure. I think the big takeaway from our group was that, you know, people are just complex in general. You just can no longer make generalizations based on where somebody lives or what they look like. And I think all of us had a story where we were engaged with a culture that we thought we knew about but really didn't know about, or we were that culture where people were making assumptions about us and they were totally wrong. And so I just really think that was the big takeaway. And then, you know, how to deal with that is just really don't be defensive, but learn to educate.
Right.
And be open to communicate those differences to other people that may not understand, because it's usually handed down from, you know, socialization with their family and their environment.
Right, for sure.
So
I'd like to piggyback off of what my Aunt Linda said. And in my group, it was Miss Lawrence, Miss Saunders Polk, and I. And we, on one of the questions, we talked about sometimes the fear of carrying the entire reputation of our race on our back and the fear of being generalized in our behavior. And for example, Miss Saunders Polk expressed that for many of her years throughout elementary school all the way to high school, she was the only or the first African American to be in her school. And so sometimes it's that fear of, in a predominantly white space and being the only person of color, feeling like everybody's watching your every move. And it goes back to what my Aunt Linda said about people making those generalizations and the need to stop generalizing in 2020. One thing I'd like to add, I have another thing to add subsequently. I know someone who is a Black male, and he does not try to eat watermelon in public because of the stereotypes that are often infringed upon Black people because of watermelon. We've had a severe incident at Beechwood of racism exercised by a white Jewish student towards a Black student, towards another white student, asking the white student if she wanted to be Black because she was eating watermelon. And those types of statements kind of, you know, cause lots of things to go awry, and people have to understand kind of what the generalizations they're making are, and we have to do our part into helping people realize that. Another point I'd like to add about what has made my experience over these past few months in my activism so difficult is the line between the organization Black Lives Matter and the phrase Black Lives Matter. It has caused a lot of divisiveness in Beechwood because of ties organizations often have. We might see these things with large corporations, large food corporations. They're now being exposed as to where they donate their money and what causes other organizations to whom they donate their money support. And so I think it's often important that we stress education and reading and learning, because oftentimes there are very thin lines between what people when people generalize and the behavior they see when they jump to generalize a person and an entire race.
Makes sense, makes sense. Does anyone want to talk more about that, what Elizabeth said?
This isn't a direct or necessarily articulate response explicitly
that's right.
Elizabeth shared, but something that I think is coming up for me hearing people reflect is I found it really interesting that so many of these questions had to do with our like educational environments, what our educational backgrounds are, especially in this context, because this is like, not only is this the Princeton Prize that's sort of facilitated by an educational institution, but most of, basically I think all of past recipients and participants have found their way to this group through their school, through teachers or mentors or their school environments. Like we've come together through our different, like the fact that we are students and teachers in various forms. And everyone who spoke today was not satisfied with what their educational environment was offering them, either as far as building like Black affirming or justice affirming culture or curriculum. So everyone has had to take into their own hands ways of building that educational environment to better serve themselves and their community. It just leaves me with the question, like, what does like a justice affirming educational system or environment or school really look like? Does it have to do with the racial representation of our teachers? Does it have to do with zoning and who gets to go where? Like, what are all these questions that can bring people into the fold and have school be something that is not just arena for these issues, but a place we know that we can like learn and move forward together.
Yeah, for sure. Of course. Yeah. Does anybody else want to talk about it? Keep going on this path of talking about education, school, what it should look like in school and what you hope to see it might look like in the future.
I think just to expand upon what Gabe said, I think one thing that raised in my mind that when he was talking is just the power to share your story is very powerful in itself. And I think if we had, kind of think about kind of what the Cleveland Foundation has done a little bit in terms of lunches or just having a meal pre-COVID. I just think how powerful that could be if another person shares their story, you in return share your story, and that connection can foster a meaningful relationship that allows us to kind of break these cycles of profiling and making these stigmas on the basis of race, and gender, and sexuality, and religion. I think how powerful it could be if you shared your story with other people. Imagine just what our world and society and communities will look like if we had more opportunities to do that. So I think this activity could be put into practice in terms of all of
Yeah, for sure. I agree. So I think that'll be all for our discussion. Thank you all for participating. Thank you for those who helped facilitate, help this discussion run in the main room and also in breakout rooms. I think I can turn it over to whoever needs to be turned over to. I think Miss Peppard. Okay.
All right, thank you. Thank you to our honorees for running that activity. And thank you everybody for being vulnerable, courageous, sharing your story and listening. And I think to ending on Anthony, it's a Facing History line that everybody has a story to share. And I think our world would be better if we were able to take that time to listen and to share our stories. All right, in conclusion, you're almost there. Edith Wharton wrote, there are two ways of spreading light, to be the candle or the mirror that reflects it. The 400 volunteers and the prize itself are the mirror that reflects the light of our honorees. We in the audience can use Elizabeth, Aaliyah's, and Mayuka's work, or we can use their work to be mirrors for us to grapple with race and for us to find ways to further equity in our community and country. Thank you to the 3 students for your inspiring work. Learning about their endeavors and reading the applications from around the region each year restores my faith in humanity and gives me great confidence in our future leadership. And thank you to all of you in the audience for joining us tonight. The Cleveland Committee is working on ways to further learning and dialogue. Please join us on Wednesday, August 5th, as Mayuka, Elizabeth, Aaliyah, and Carson, last year's winner, and actually any of the other winners, I will be following up with you in the next few days to see if you would like to join us as well. They will be leading us in a panel and a discussion. Anybody who's on the Princeton Alumni Association email list will get it, and we'll send the link out to all of you who have been with us tonight. And you will see on the next slide, there will be a panel that you can ask questions to our winners. And on the next slide, you'll see that you'll have a choice of 2 articles. Either we have this great Shaker connection. Wesley Lowery is a Shaker Heights graduate and a Pulitzer Prize winning author. And he has a recent article in the Atlantic called Why Minneapolis Was the Tipping Point. The other choice is Beverly Daniel Tatum's What Awaits Black Children When They Return to School, and it is based on her seminal work, Why Are All the Black Kids Sitting Together in the Cafeteria? We are going to continue in the Princeton Prize to have these discussions and move forward, and we're also open to your suggestions. So please be in touch either through the admin email, or my email was on the previous screen. We can get that back up. Do you mind going back for 1 second, Julia? There's my email. Please feel free to write with any suggestions, anything if you want any of the materials from tonight, anything you'd like to see going forward. If you'd like to be involved in the Princeton Prize, please reach out to me. With that, we will end with the alma mater. Nobody has to sing it, but what is really powerful about this updated version from 2018 is what you will see in the population. Student population looks very different than when the alma mater was written in 1859. And actually in our 4th panel, you will see our own Brandon McGee singing. And after this is over, we'll keep the Zoom room open, and feel free to stay and talk and interact and further any of the conversations that we have tonight. Thank you everybody for being with us.
To every heart and every voice,